He made it.
With Iraqi troops tied down in fixed, static defensive positions, American and Allied forces attacked across the Kuwaiti border, led by U.S. Marines who bore the brunt of the heavy fighting. At the same time, a much larger mobile armored force swept north around the left flank, enveloped the toughest Iraqi divisions, and attacked them from the north and west. The Iraqis were outmaneuvered, outgunned, and overwhelmed. U.S. and coalition casualties were remarkably light.
The loss of one human life is intolerable to any of us who are in the military. But I would tell you that casualties of that order of magnitude, considering the job that's been done and the number of forces that are involved, is almost miraculous as far as the light number of casualties. It'll never be miraculous to the families of those people, but it is miraculous.
One of the reasons for the timing of the ground campaign was the situation in Kuwait. It was time to act. Iraqi troops were kidnapping people, setting fire to the oil fields, and blowing up Kuwait City.
But that pales to insignificance compared to the absolutely unspeakable atrocities that occurred in Kuwait in the last week. They're not a part of the same human race, the people that did that the rest of us are. I've got to pray that that's the case.
General Schwarzkopf was asked his opinion of Saddam Hussein as a military strategist.
He is neither a strategist, nor is he schooled in the operational art, nor is he a tactician, nor is he a general, nor is he as a soldier. Other than that, he's a great military man. I want you to know that.
Finally, the general was asked if he was worried about being prevented from accomplishing all his military objectives by a ceasefire.
I think I've made it very clear to everybody that I just as soon the war had never started, and I just as soon never have lost a single life out there. That was not our choice. We've accomplished our mission, and when the decision makers come to the decision that there should be a ceasefire, nobody will be happier than me.
Karl von Clausewitz, the Prussian soldier philosopher, wrote about the behavior of victorious generals nearly 200 years ago. Nothing seems more natural to them than to stop the combat as soon as the honor of victory is achieved, and to regard all further carnage as unnecessary cruelty. Clausewitz saw that as a mistake. Schwarzkopf does not. John Lawrence for Nightline in Saudi Arabia.
Many of you will not have had the opportunity yet to see the entire Norman Schwarzkopf briefing. Let me tell you, it was an extraordinary performance. And immediately after this broadcast tonight, my colleague Peter Jennings will bring you the Schwarzkopf briefing in its entirety. When we come back, we'll be going live to Kuwait City, where I'll be joined by Forrest Sawyer. Live from a newly liberated Kuwait City. And he will be joining us live in just a couple of minutes. But first, a few of the remarkable scenes that he has been able to record today.
Inglesi, the commander, what are you excited about?
Because we got to be able to clear and clean Kuwait from the rats.
How important is this day?
This is very important. This is a big day for my life.
Please, tell me what you need. Maybe this will help. Tell me what you need.
We need to know where they took all the Kuwaitis for the past 2-3 weeks. And
what have they been doing?
Yes, and we don't know which prisons.
They got them
are they in Kuwait or are they outside?
In the mosque. They were praying in the mosque, and they took them from the mosque.
That is what we want to know, is the location of both
Children,
they have taken.
young
have
boys.
They taken them, are they kept inside Kuwait or have they taken them outside Kuwait? We don't know.
Have you lost someone?
Yes, we did. My brother.
From the mosque, they took them.
And my cousin.
And you've lost?
Yes, my cousin, all my relatives. They're just worried about all the people who are the prisoners that were taken, because every family has someone there now. 5 days ago, around 4,000 women and children and men. We don't know any
So they've collected women, children, and young men between the age of 15 to 55.
And I hope I see my husband and he see his son. Thank you.
You will.
Can I say something, please? I'd like just to take this opportunity to thank all the American people and to thank Mr. Bush and all the American Army in USA. Thank you.
Tell me what they did.
They beat us. They put the cigarette in our bodies. And they put some, and our friends, some irons.
I stayed 7 months in the jail. 7 months in the jail. In the very, 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 very dirty jail. Without water, without gas, without anything. With so much damage, can Kuwait rebuild itself?
Yes, definitely. We have the will to do it, and we will do it. Mainly, we're talking about technical things, because of buildings are easy.
We hope Saddam falls, and we couldn't say the words for 7 months. We just want to tear all the money that we have.
Yes, yes.
Do you want Saddam tried for war crimes?
Well, I want to see him hanged, that's for sure.
I feel I'm on top of the world. How do I feel? Where do you come from?
We come from the United States.
Oh, welcome. Well, we thank you so much.
We all free, and we thank God and all the nations whom they help to free Kuwait.
I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I must be free. When bad and bold.
Forrest, it looks as though you're a popular fellow there today.
Ted, what I would actually say is that anybody who was an American who was a very popular fellow here yesterday as well as this morning, if they saw that you were an American, they said welcome, welcome, and mostly they said thank you for what you've done to the Kuwaiti people.
I get a tremendous sense of a mixture, on the one hand, of euphoria, and on the other hand, of being terribly, terribly disoriented.
That's a fair description. And on top of that, I would say that there is a tremendous concern for those Kuwaitis who are still missing. Remember, there are some number of them. I hear a figure anywhere from 1,000 to 4,000 that the Kuwaitis say have been rounded up over these past 2 weeks by the Iraqis, and they believe may have either been killed or harmed or taken north to be used as hostages. They have no idea what may have happened to them. And as one woman put it, we are very happy today that the thing that takes the edge away from our happiness is our concern for our loved ones.
Forrest, you and I have not had a chance to talk during this program or immediately before the program. I don't know if anyone had available a transistor radio so that any Kuwaitis could hear President Bush's speech, either over the Voice of America or perhaps over the BBC. Are they aware of what the president has announced tonight, and what kind of an impact has it made?
Well, I guess I can give you just my own personal observations here, which are very few indeed. From my perch here, I can look all over the city, and I've been talking with some Kuwaitis here right around us here. There seems to be little or no reaction at all. Nobody is up. The streets are completely empty. I think they consider it old news. For them, what was happening here yesterday, the troops that were moving in, was the clear sign that Saddam Hussein was defeated and that the war was over. If not at that moment, that it would be very, very quickly. They were already yesterday getting on with the business of trying to see what a new Kuwait would look like.
Forrest, I guess the one point that I think would draw a great deal of attention from a Kuwaiti audience right now is that the president made it clear that one of the conditions for this ceasefire lasting will be the return of who knows how many thousands of those Kuwaitis who were taken away by Iraqi troops. The question I have to you is, how will they know? Are they already in the process, for example, of compiling lists of the missing? And how will they know whether people have been killed over the past few months in prisons or whether they were taken out of the country?
Yes, in fact, they are putting together lists. I have seen some of the documentation that they have put together. Many of the documents, many of the IDs of the Kuwaitis who were taken into custody are still there. They were not destroyed by the Iraqis, and they've begun sorting through them, trying to figure out where they may be, what may have actually happened to them, and they are certainly trying to track down when and where many of these people were picked up. They know that some of them were taken away from mosques, for instance. They know that some of them were on their way to a location and disappeared in the streets. These things they are able to establish clearly, and what they will then try to do is move on and track what may have become of them after that. So yes, they are putting together that documentation. In addition, they are putting together the documentation that shows what has been stolen and what has been destroyed by Saddam. They would like to do that for history, if not to be able to gain any sort of reparations.
Forrest, I know that you have spent quite some time over the past couple of days with some of the freedom fighters, the underground, the people who have been hiding from the Iraqis and trying to harass them in any way that they could. Are these people going to be prepared just to go back to a status quo ante, in other words, the government that existed before Saddam Hussein came in, or are they going to want to play some kind of a more active role in controlling their own fate now?
Well, I think you've touched on what is a critical question about the future of Kuwait. You know very well that there is that government in exile that moved on to Taif in Saudi Arabia. The question of what was going to happen to them was very much up in the air. The people here felt strongly that they should stay, that they should not leave this country, because if they did, it was the kind of statement they didn't want to make. There is a tension between these two groups. Now, as for the people who left and the people who stay, who will determine what becomes of this country? I think that discussion is going to have to go on through the weeks and months that continue.
I should tell you, and I'm not sure if you can hear me, the noise here is still tremendous, even though it's 10 minutes after the deadline that President Bush said for no more combat missions. I still hear fighter planes taking off behind me and overhead. One more question to you, and be as descriptive as you can. What is life now at the moment like? No running water, no electricity, what kind of food is available? Just give us a thumbnail description now of what life in Kuwait City is like at the moment and how and when it's likely to change.
I can't say when it's going to change. In this particular house where we have been residing, thanks to the hospitality of the gentleman here, there is a generator, so there is running water, there is electricity. At many of the other locations, there is water for the most part. Electricity is mostly out throughout the city. That's hard to come by. Gasoline is still here, but in very short supply. There is, it appears to me, plenty of food and water. So life is going along. I would not say that people are under any tremendous stress. It is simply a hardship at this point. And I am sorry to communicate to you in this way, Ted, but I can tell you that Sheikh Ali Salem al-Sabah, who is one of the Kuwaiti resistance leaders, has arrived here at the roof. We've been looking for him throughout the morning. He is someone who could be able to tell us something about what's going to happen in the future. I don't know how you want to extend the broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you bring him in and let's spend a couple of minutes, and since he won't be able to put an earpiece in, why don't you just conduct the interview and we'll listen in.
All right. We're going to be bringing him up here right now. Let me tell you that what he has been doing along with the other resistance leaders throughout these past weeks and months, he has been helping to distribute money. How people survived when they didn't have jobs, when they didn't have the kind of operation. Why don't you just come right on up here and stand? He's a shy man and a very gracious man, but he's going to assist us here. All right. Forgive our precarious perch. This is Sheikh Ali Salem al-Sabah, who, and I'm going to take this off. We're a little makeshift here, sir, who has been a member of the resistance and who has been an organizer of things that are going on here. Ted, if you would like to communicate through me to Sheikh Ali, I will begin to ask the kinds of questions you'd like to hear.
I'll tell you what, Forrest, why don't you take over? You're far better placed to ask the right kinds of questions right now, so we'll just listen to you.
I think the first question that we should ask is the one that you turned to me, Ted. Sheikh Ali, Ted was asking me about the future of Kuwait. There is certainly a tension between many Kuwaitis who stayed here and risked their lives to endure what the Iraqis placed upon them, and those that left. Will there then be a discussion about the future of Kuwait, or will it simply return to what it was before?
Well, I mean, let me first state that we all agree on three things, that the motto of Kuwait is God, country, and then the sovereign, our sovereign, the emir. All of us have decided on that thing, and all of us agree on it. Now, the way the government would be run is there's a contention between different parties on how the government should be run and who are the representative in the government. Now, that should be settled later, and there's a little bit of worry inside the country that people outside don't seem to comprehend what we have been through, and that they'll come back to the old systems of political rivalry and parties and all different aspects of things. I hope a new country had been born now, and all of us would chip in and do the right thing. Now, there should be political tension later on, but I think after what we've been through, all things would be erased and a new future would arise. I don't expect anything to happen. No tensions, I think, really would happen. It's just vying for position for the future, for the parliamentary elections, and it's only vying for position, no, not much.
You keep talking about what the Kuwaitis have been through, and I think that many people haven't been able to understand the atrocities that were forced upon them, and that many Kuwaitis have now disappeared. Are you going to be able, do you think, with what you have, to track down the people who are missing, and do you think that the United States can help you in that?
Yes, I waked up today in the morning. I was very happy that one of the conditions President Bush put was the release of all the Kuwaiti hostages in Iraq. I have a brother, a first cousin, and a distant cousin. The three of them disappeared the last 3 months, and we're waiting to get confirmation from them from Iraq. We've located their position, and I hope we'll be able to retrieve them as soon as possible. Now, Kuwait is small, and we could easily, but the thing is the communication between the parties in Kuwait had been lacking before because of the coordination. Now it should, when there's peace in the country, that we should be able to get lists of people that are missing, and we should be able to speak with the Iraqis about them.
We heard, as we were outside of Kuwait in these past 2 weeks and during the period that the war was proceeding, Sheikh Ali, that the Iraqis had been rounding up people, that they had been executing them, that they had been torturing them in these last days of the war. Was that going on?
Well, there's two friends of mine. That one is a distant relative that was executed in front of his house, and I saw that in front of my eyes. I got in one of the jails. They picked me up on the street and they got me in, but I used to go on, my father gave me fatherly advice, always keep a lot of money in your pocket, and that helped. Somehow it got the officer to drop the charges and get me out of the cell when he got the money. So I've been through that, and I know there was at least 300 in my group when they got us in, and I've only seen 2 of them that came out.
I was out talking with many of the Kuwaiti people yesterday, and one of the questions I asked was whether they wanted Saddam tried for war crimes and whether they wanted Iraq to be punished for what has been done to the Kuwaitis. What do you say?
Well, I think it's asking for revenge it's not the proper way to say things. I think we should forgive, but I think we are a law-abiding country, and everybody that did something has to go in front of the court. Definitely Saddam Hussein has to be put in front of a court. And I just had my finger crossed that the Americans have stopped the Iraqi retreating army. There's a lot of them that definitely had to be put in front of court for crimes they've done in Kuwait. And especially, I mean, the most terrible thing is they get the person in front of the house, he can't even walk after torture, and they put a bullet in his head in front of his family. I think I've never heard being done in any place in the world. And I think when we look at it, I think it's equal, or if not greater than the Holocaust, because it's premeditated murder in front of houses, and you know they're going to kill them in front of their families, which was, I think, something very terrible that had never been done before.
Sheikh Ali, yes, Ted.
I think at this point, if you would be good enough to extend our appreciation to Sheikh Ali, both for his help to you and for being gracious enough to join us tonight, we're going to have to bring this program to a conclusion. But I thank you very much. I look forward to talking with you tomorrow. And again, please express our appreciation to Sheikh Ali.
We shall.
Just before we leave you, a program note that I'll be giving you in a moment, but a little piece of video that just came in a moment ago. It's such an extraordinary piece of video, we wanted to show it to you. This was while the 2nd Marine Division was approaching Kuwait City. It is actually shot from a helicopter that fired on a tank, and you can see, well, I guess you just have seen, what ensued. As I told you earlier, immediately after this program, Peter Jennings will be bringing you the complete Norman Schwarzkopf briefing of earlier today. If you have not heard it, and if you can stay up that late, I recommend that you do. It is well worth hearing. Quite an extraordinary performance. For the moment then, for all of us here at ABC News in Eastern Saudi Arabia and throughout the rest of the world, I'm Ted Koppel. Good night.
This has been ABC News Nightline. If you wish a videocassette version of Nightline, the cost is $14.98 plus $3.95 shipping and handling. If you wish a printed transcript, please send $4 to 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.